Players will always find bugs, mechanics, and exploits in every game, both accidentally and intentionally. Today I've decided to take a trip down memory lane and compile a list of some of the Overwatch bugs and exploits that affected the game for way longer than it should have before it eventually got patched. Get ready because there are some good ones in here for a nice nostalgia trip. If anybody in ranked ever tells you to go touch grass, tell them you can't, because you trimmed your grass already with the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped, who are kindly sponsoring this video. The Lawnmower 4.0 is a waterproof cordless trimmer built with skin-safe technology and comes included with the Performance package that may very well be the best gift you can get. Remember that this package comes with the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray. Over here, we actually have some more additional accessories, along with the anti-chafing boxer briefs right over here. Included with every Manscaped Performance package is the Weed Whacker nose ear hair trimmer and the Shed Travel bag as another additional gift. I mean, come on, there's just so many products included in the Manscaped Performance package. It's the holidays, so if you need a last-minute gift for somebody or for yourself, you can treat yourself, king, by going to manscaped.com/KarQ or use my code KarQ20 for 20% off plus free international shipping. Overwatch was released on May 24th, 2016, and by early June, just 3 weeks in, Genji players figured out the infamous ledge dash or ledge boost. This Genji tech was performed by first using the dash, followed by wall climb on a ledge at the end of the dash animation. This flung you to the sky like a booger, which opened up opportunities to pull off ridiculous dragon blades. If you weren't using this ledge boost, you were just falling behind other Genji players, making it an essential skill you had to know. On September 1st, 2016, the ledge boost was patched along with a bunch of other Genji nerfs. Blizzard didn't want to acknowledge the exploit as there was no official documentation about the ledge boost on the official patch notes. It was, however, quite humorous reading the numerous Genji mains bitching about it all over the forums and Reddit. This ledge boost dominated Season 1 of Overwatch and had a solid 3-month run. The second bug I want to talk about is the Roadhog Hook. Yes, some players may call this one of the buggiest Overwatch abilities of all time because you were able to hook enemies through literal dimensional wormholes. There were two issues with the 1.0 build of the hook. The first problem was that it had an abnormally large hitbox, allowing you to connect hooks where you couldn't even see the enemy. The second problem was that once a hook connected, it would attempt to pull the enemy to you no matter what. Floors? No problem. Walls? No problem. Buses?
Okay, Blizzard!
On September 1st, 2016, 3 months after the release of Overwatch, Blizzard attempted to fix the first iteration of Roadhog's hook by retracting the hook if they aren't in line of sight. The developer comments, "This change means that the hook targets will be less likely to slide along walls, potentially ending up in an odd place after they've been reeled in." No. Keyword was less likely, but it was still a common occurrence. Another 4 months would have to pass until January 2017, a full 7 months after the release of the game before Blizzard decided to really programmatically fix Roadhog's hook, and this was the birth of Hook 2.0. Targets were now pulled in front of Hog versus his location. Hook detaches upon breaking line of sight, and the line of sight is checked from the Hog's position rather than the Hook's position. There were a few more Hook exploits that showed up a few months later, such as the Spin Hook, but this did not last nearly as long as Hook 1.0. Rest in peace, Hook 1.0, May 2016 to January 2017. For the first year and a half of Overwatch, transformation ultimates such as Tactical Visor or Dragon Blade would be refunded if cancelled by a stun or a sleep. This was frustrating for players on both ends. If you were the one casting the ult, you would never be able to use your damn ability.
Uh-oh.
It's crazy!
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Mercy 1. Mercy dead.
3 times!
It's okay, we're fine. We have Valk, they don't have ult.
I'm using 4! There's one.
For the opposing players, this game mechanic felt more like a mild inconvenience rather than an effective play that punishes opposing players' ultimate duration. It wasn't until September 2017 that Blizzard stepped in and patched it. On March 21st, 2017, Orisa was released into the game and was a solid hero choice after a few buffs. Around August 2017, about 5 months after her release, players began discovering what they called a Halt tech, but in reality was just a pretty big bug. It was brought to attention on Reddit after several top Orisa players like Ace of Spades and Slurpee Thief were using it and showing people how it was done. The simple explanation is that Halt is a spherical orb, and when detonated, it checks if there's an enemy there, like if an enemy exists, and whether it can see the enemy within its range. Now, all surfaces in the game are one-way, in which one side acts as a true wall, which is what you see, while the other side is hollow, and it allows you to shoot through it, hence the term one-way. This is actually a common game engine design simply because it saves resources without having to render thick surfaces for better optimization. Now, because of this one-way nature, the Orisa Halt used to clip through these surfaces, then it would check for enemies and then pull them to the projectile. If there were small walls or barriers between them, they would still get pulled up and over them like so. Despite the attention it was getting, nothing was being done about it until the players started using it in the Overwatch League. Now that true competitive integrity was on the line, that's when Blizzard finally stepped in and fixed it on April of 2018. This bug had an uptime of 1 year and 1 month. Let's be real, most of us don't like Junkertown. Players figured out a way to cancel Junkertown matches by choosing Mei and freezing the motorcycle in the attacker's spawn.
Do it. Just let it freeze the motorcycle. The game will break.
This map came out in September 2017, and it wasn't until about January 2018 where the bug became commonplace, and players started doing this every time they had to play Junkertown, until Blizzard stealth removed it from the map pool, hotfixed it without ever documenting it on the patch notes.
What the
Based on my understanding, Overwatch is always sending information from the client to the server with a certain data limit so that the server doesn't crash. However, the motorcycle in spawn didn't have a programmed frozen state, therefore there was a major performance issue with trying to constantly tell the server to freeze the unfreezable. If you ask me, this bug didn't last long enough, because I f***ing hate this map. Brig was released in March of 2018 and was considered one of the most controversial and polarizing heroes to enter the game. I'm not going to even get into the particulars of her balance on release, but around September 2018, 6 months later, players discovered that you could Superglide by canceling the shield bash animation with Whipshot. You could also do this with other abilities such as her heal pack and rally. It basically boiled down to having the shield bash movement, acceleration, and deceleration tied to the ability itself. And when canceling it with the whip shot, you just cancel that deceleration portion, and that means you'd carry over the bash acceleration and let the natural slowdown of the game take over, which allowed you to travel a lot further unintentionally. This opened up some crazy flank spots and was both an insane engagement and disengagement tool that caused a frenzy in the competitive scene. It wasn't until early October that year that this was eventually patched from the game, giving this bug a runtime of 8 months, give or take. On July 24th, 2018, Wrecking Ball was released into the game, but he was shipped with what many considered game-breaking bugs that players would soon discover. By August, 1 month in, players discovered that Piledriver had 2 problems. Number 1, it's supposed to deal 100 damage at most when landing directly on an enemy, and only 20 damage at its max range like so. Now, the bug arises when more than one target is being pile-driven. All targets will take equal damage closest to Wrecking Ball. The second bug was that Piledrive would sometimes deal double damage when slamming near certain geometry, effectively one-shotting 200 HP targets. The game would register the 100 damage Piledrive on the payload and then slide down and register another 100 damage on the ground. When both bugs interacted with each other, you would deal the double damage Piledrive and have that damage affect everyone else in your radius, like Guru demonstrates here. Now, Ball isn't the only one with game-changing bugs at this time. Winston's Leap works similarly to Ball, in which the maximum damage is 50 when landing on an enemy, slowly falling off to as little as 1 damage at maximum range. Sometime in the summer of 2018, Winston's Leap was unintentionally doing the max 50 damage no matter where he landed on the leap. Now, these tank bugs didn't particularly last as long as some of the other ones listed in this video, but I'm putting it on the list because it certainly lasted longer than it should have, because none of them were hotfixed at the time, and the 2018 Overwatch World Cup qualifiers in LA were around the corner in early September. You can see where this is going. I had the pleasure of being part of the 2018 World Cup with Team Canada, and I can tell you that during the preparation of this event, we knew about it and we were trying to practice and strategize who could play ball on our team. I think we scrimmed with Note on ball, and then we put XQC on Winston so that we could potentially wombo combo the buggy pile drive into the 50 damage leap. However, I think we ended up with a different comp throughout most of the event because none of our players are really proficient enough on ball yet, and I thought that was just an interesting anecdote to share with you all. Now, we've moved along the timeline and we're in 2019 now, and on one early summer day in June, Reddit user Clumsy Lee discovered a huge bug with Briggs rally armor that has existed since her release. Clumsy Lee noted that Briggs rally armor ramped up at 15 armor per 0.5 seconds for 10 seconds, and the damage reduction property that armor inherently has is recalculated with every layer of armor added. So in short, every armor layer or ramp up during rally was reducing 3 damage at the same time, making it 20% stronger than normal armor. In some extreme cases, it was even 45% stronger while taking some damage during her ultimate. If you need a visual, Reddit user Darky Packy made a great video demonstrating it. I just want to mention that at the time of the recording, Soldier did 20 damage for a body shot, and armor reduced instances of damage by 3 damage. That's why you're seeing 17. And it should be 17, but instead you're seeing 14 and a couple of other numbers. As if Briggs' kit wasn't complained about enough, the fact that this was discovered over a year later was absolutely mind-blowing. Now, this next one is a bit debatable because you can still sort of do it on certain heroes. This exploit is just simply switching heroes back and forth in spawn to reset ability cooldowns. An early example of a pro player doing this mechanic is KarQ back in February 2018, swapping back and forth on Ana to permanently sleep the Winston, although someone else on his team woke him up after the second sleep.
와, 이 형 레전드 찍으려 했는데 막았네.
야! 어디 데려갔어?
In theory, you could sleep an enemy forever there, but the downside is you can't really play the game as Ana, and I guess neither can the Winston, making it a 5v5. Overwatch 2. You can still do this today on Ana, but it's super situational. Now, the problem with this mechanic or exploit is that it works on everyone. And when Baptiste was released in March 2019, well, you can see how problematic a permanent immortality field can be. This was a known mechanic for ages, even used in the Overwatch World Cup that year and in the Overwatch League in early 2020. And it wasn't until ML7's clips of him doing it went viral before Blizzard finally fixed it after a year and 2 months in May of 2020. Now for the final bug or exploit that lasted way longer than it should, hence the title. The Droptire. All you had to do was start the Riptire animation near a ledge, and while Junkrat sets up his tire, it would fall to the ground below, giving the enemy nearly no time to react to it. Junkrat was shipped with the original release of the game in May 2016 and takes the cake as the longest running bug before finally getting patched in May of 2021 this year, making this tech as part of his kit for 5 strong years. Rest in peace. And that concludes my list of some of the craziest bugs in Overwatch history. If there are some you thought that should have made it to the list, let me know in the comments.